On 26 August 2001, a small wooden boat crammed with Afghan asylum seekers became distressed north of Christmas Island. They were saved by a Norwegian container ship, the Tampa, which then headed to Christmas Island to deposit them in safety. The Australian government closed the port and then stormed the boat with Special Forces soldiers who imprisoned the asylum seekers. Civil liberties lawyers commenced proceedings to have them released. The key question was whether the government was using any valid power to detain the asylum seekers. The majority in the full federal court found that the government had a prerogative power to detain and expel people who were trying to come into Australia unlawfully. Prerogative power is an unchallengeable executive power which comes directly from the ancient prerogatives of the Crown. Chief Justice Black, however, wrote a powerful dissent in which he went deeply into the historical authorities and made the point that even if such a power had existed in England, it had not been used since at least 1771. Instead, he found that the Parliament had created a piece of legislation, the Migration Act, and so to learn what powers the government had in terms of immigration, we should look to the statute and not to some esoteric concept about whether ancient powers might have somehow lay dormant for centuries. Chief Justice Black said that his review of the Act shows that it provides for a very comprehensive regime relating to, in the words of the long title, the entry into and presence in Australia of aliens and the departure or deportation from Australia of aliens. The regime is comprehensive in its coverage of powers of apprehension and detention. No doubt gaps can be found in the scheme, but the existence of these does not detract from the comprehensive character of the statutory regime. So, to determine what powers could be exercised by government decision makers, Chief Justice Black said that if there is a statute, that is where we must look for those powers. And there was no statutory power in the Migration Act which authorised this sort of detention. The Howard government clearly found Chief Justice Black's judgment convincing because they literally raced into Parliament to pass legislation retrospectively declaring their conduct to have been lawful. It was a dirty trick, but it emphasised that public power really does come almost entirely from within enactments.